Welcome, everybody, to Who's Your Band? I am Jeffrey Paul. I am joined by my co host, as always, Sean Morton. How are you, Sean?
Jeffrey, I want to share this with you right away before we get into our guest. You may have had this moment since you're a couple of years older than me. Do you remember the time that you realized that you officially peaked in life?
I haven't finished peeking. I'm still going.
Well, no, you're a giant hunk of shit, but I'm saying that when you realized that like things were really going south, did you have that moment?
South?
Yeah, like physically or things like that. Did
Oh,
you ever?
okay. Well, yeah, physically, I can tell you, you start to decrease when you turn 36.
Okay, so I was in my 40s. So you don't know this. Once in a while, I have glasses on, but normally I wear
Wait, did your
contacts.
penis stop working?
No, no, that's
Okay.
totally. I showed you that the other night.
Just wanted to double check.
So I've worn glasses since I'm 5 years old, and then when I started wearing contacts when I was like 16, when I can make the choices for myself. So I am legally like blind as a bat. So I wear contacts to wear 20/20 vision. But as of last week, not only do I have contacts, but I have to wear reader glasses on top of my contacts.
Oh, that
That's
sucks.
how fucking blind I am.
Yeah.
I
Let me tell you,
well, actually, you
it's,
know what? If I take them off, you look a lot better, actually. But I mean,
yeah.
okay,
Keep them off.
yeah.
No, it's bad. I mean, listen, I used to have my eyesight was the best part of me. I had X-ray vision practically, and now I can't see anything. So, I mean, it's brutal. But before we do bring on our guests, I want to show you something, and I want you to see if you could tell me what this is.
Herpes.
What is that?
Hold on, I gotta put my fucking glasses on again. Uh, Zebra tickets.
It's a physical ticket. So
Oh,
So I went Saturday night. By the way, I found a great new concert hall in New York City. It's called Sony Hall.
great.
It's an excellent concert venue. The sound is great. There's not a bad line of vision in the house. It really is an excellent place. Um, but they give you physical tickets. When was the last time you got a physical ticket to a show?
Yes, you have to pay more for them now at some places.
Yeah,
Actually get
yeah.
physical tickets. Like I'll do that when I go to my local place here, Starland. If I buy them at the door, they give you a physical ticket, so I keep them. But I have stubs going back like 30 plus years, and at my old place, I usually actually had them all lined up in like huge frames. And then I have a project I'm going to do with an acoustic guitarist, like take them, put all the stubs on the guitar, and then like laminate it to make it look like a real cool art piece at some point.
See, that's what this generation is missing out on, is things like that, holding on to these tickets and these ticket stubs and the memories they bring back.
Yeah, it's a lost art. It's one of those little things. It's why I love vinyl so much too. I'm a very digital guy. I love being able to have 60,000 songs on my phone, but I also love going into my living room and having 900 records that I can just put on and just escape.
You know who could help us with this? I'll
Would
guess.
that be our guest?
Yes.
Wow, what a great segue that was, Jeff.
Well, in high school, I was voted boy to have the best segues.
You were actually, they actually called you Jeffy Segway.
They did. They did. I
Yeah,
had the reputation. I was the Segway king. But
yeah.
our guest could probably join us, and probably have some memories of ticket stubs and vinyl. And this guy, you know, I know him as a comedian, a really funny comedian, who's done a bunch of different late nights. But he's also like, we became friends, and I didn't realize he was also a drummer and kind of a talented drummer at that, from what I understand. Let's introduce him to the show. Let's bring in Brad Trackman. How are you, Brad?
Hey, how are you guys? It's nice to see you. I'm doing well. How are you guys?
Just
Good,
ducky.
man. How was LA? You just got back from LA just like the other day.
Yeah, fine, but major delay at the airport, which I swear I never have that, and yep, it was my time. 5 hour delay, which sucked.
Now, you've been doing a lot of cruise ships. Is that what you were doing out there?
I was out in Long Beach, but you have to get yep. Been doing a lot of cruises at my age right now. That's that's like the best bet, man, to make, six figures is doing these cruises with all expenses paid. It's just like it's where I'm at, buddy. I do a lot of corporates and I do privates and I do cruises. Clubs are like few and far between because they just can't pay the the same amount of money with this other stuff, that I'm getting.
I met this one
Yeah, I
guy.
was gonna say Bobby
I did
Collins always said that. He always said the goal for a comedian is to get out of the clubs.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I did when I did the one cruise that I did, I met this guy, and let me tell you what a racket this guy had going. He was a vet, Army vet, and I met him on the cruise, and he was like, we're bullshitting back and forth, and he goes, I live right here in Miami. I'm like, oh, that's cool. What do you do? I'm retired. Cool. Do you do a lot of cruises? He goes, well, I live on the ship. And I go, what do you mean? So he lives in Miami. He has like, just an address, and he waits until the day before the cruise and books it because when there's cabins left over, they want to fill them. He was paying $200 a week to go on these cruises. So think about that. He's paying $800 a month to basically live. Room and board is completely free. All your entertainment. If you're an alcoholic, score, right? Eat all your meals for free and travel the world on top of all of that. It was the greatest scam. I love a good scam. And that was the greatest scam I had ever heard in my entire life.
Is it a scam or is it just like someone who's being smart and taking advantage
It's
of what's
both.
being offered?
It's both. Like I said, what do you do if there's no cruise? He goes, well, I get a hotel for a week or a couple of days until another cruise comes in. Because out of Miami, they're flying, they're all over the place. You can go
Right.
anywhere. You can go anywhere. What a racket, man. It was kudos to this guy.
Was he doing
That's
it?
not that's not an anomaly. I mean, there's a lot of geriatrics that are doing that, like living full time on a cruise, not even having a residence. They just pick a ship and they stay on that ship because you have your health care there, you have a nurse or a doctor on board, you have everything right there.
It's beautiful.
What's the key to doing the cruises? I mean, is it do you find it different than doing clubs? And if it is, what's the dramatic difference?
I mean, it's you have to have a lot of material. Lots of even if you have a couple hours of material, you need more. It's like you never have enough material. Uh
You're out.
what else? Like
I,
PC, you're always getting evaluated.
right.
So if you're someone that doesn't consistently do well, it's not a good career choice for you because you get evaluated every show. All you
Right.
need is one bad show and then you're done. So I mean, yeah, you have to be pretty, very consistent and you have
I,
to be able to eat shit.
I
It's like, when you play a corporate, when I do these corporates or privates or even clubs for that matter, the few that I still do, you're treated pretty damn nice, but with these cruise ships, you're just, I guess, an end to the means. They don't look at you as anything special. You're not treated with anything special. Of course, there's certain lines that are better than others, and the accommodations are better than others. But at the end of the day, they just see you as an employee.
Yeah.
You're not
I
anything special.
are you doing a lot more writing? Do you have to be more current?
I mean, I'm always writing, Jeff. As a comedian, I'm always writing. So that's never been an issue for me. I love writing. That's at this point in my career, I've been doing comedy for 32 years. That's the only thing that's keeping me really intrigued about our occupation is the writing aspect. I still get a kick out of writing something and then taking it to fruition and making it a solid bit. That's always the best part for me anyway.
It's a great feeling. I've been working on this bit for maybe last maybe 2 weeks. And Saturday night before I went to the show, I was over at a New York comedy club, and I was having a good set. I was like, I'm gonna try closing on this. The audience had trusted me at this point already, and like when you're on stage and you're feeling good, you're willing to take a little bit of a risk. The setup took a little longer than I had wanted it to be, but I kind of was able to find like three tags, and I thought I came up with a closer for it. And so when I was done, man, it put me on cloud nine. I felt fantastic, just like in such a great mood. There is no better feeling for a comedian than just being able to finish a joke.
Yeah, and like you said, sometimes it takes a little bit to get it perfected, or some people are constantly perfecting a joke and still adding tags or still never. But for me, I usually do come to a common ground of where there's finality to it, where I'm like, yeah, it's working consistently, and I'm happy with it.
Well, I think especially on cruise ships. I mean, I think writing in general is fluid. And I think writing comedy is kind of like an accordion. Like you'll write a lot and then you'll listen to it and then you'll start to edit it. And then like you'll add some tags or you'll add some more current tags and you're expanding it. And then it maybe gets a little bit wordy and you're going to cut it down. I think the bits are always kind of going in and out. And that's why I think it's called the accordion theory of writing.
Oh, sure. And listen, you know, when putting this stuff together for the special I'm doing, I pulled out stuff that I haven't done in 15 years because I
And
realized
that's
that,
why you never throw anything away.
yeah, I mean, and there was like, you know, newer stuff that I've done that is really working well. I look back and I was like, I could take that joke and put it in and make the chunk a little bigger too. And I did that with you know, with this COVID bit that I'm doing. I had like 4 or 5 other jokes about television. I just retweaked it and reworded it and brought it back into the mix. And now it adds a good 3 or 4 more minutes onto a whole chunk that I have already. So I always look at the, I don't know if you guys ever saw it. It was a documentary on Joan Rivers that was on Netflix. It was just a brilliant documentary. And she has this library old
I
file card system.
Yeah, she has a bunch of a card catalog of all the jokes she
Yeah, but
had.
it's
Yeah,
fucking wall. It's a wall. So it
yeah.
just puts marriage and you pull it out, and or kids pull it out. She can have a blowjob thing and pull it out, and it's or every joke she's ever written over the span of whatever 60 years she was doing, it was in that file count. I mean, that is just
No, that was
next
unbelievable.
level OCD.
But you
I
know,
had the pleasure of working with her. You know, I
Really?
opened, yeah, and I got to tell you, what a classy, awesome lady. Wow. I mean, she lived up to the hype. I mean, you sometimes meet comedy legends that you've always looked up to, and honestly, I have a couple stories of people that didn't, live up to the hype as people, but she was just exceptional lady. My God, she actually introduced me
she
herself
she
on,
did that.
in a theater, which is
Yes,
like
Chris
insane.
Chris Monty used to open for her, and I remember going to see a show, and yeah, she would do the God mic, and she'd introduce her openers. But you know what, Brad, so we were talking about writing. I didn't want to get sidetracked from this, but you also, I don't know if you knew this about Brad, Sean, but Brad, didn't you write Anthony Cumia's first book?
I did. Yeah. Yeah. I'm actually working on a second book right now too. But yeah, I did. I worked, I supposedly co-wrote it, but I wrote the whole book cover to cover. My writing partner is a complete alcoholic. We come to meetings completely smashed. And believe it or not, him and Anthony just got along fabulously. Like
No, get
she,
out of here. You're full
and,
of shit, and there's no way I can't say that happening.
but yeah, that was a cool experience though. I
Tell us a
enjoyed
little bit
it.
about that. What was it like working with Cumia? And also he's dropping a lot of hints that in this second book it's going to blow up him and Opie forever.
Well, I mean, there's no love lost between the two. They really have a lot of animosity between one another, and it was an interesting combination. I didn't know anything about Anthony and Opie, or Opie and Anthony rather, other than the show, the radio. I never really listened to it. I was never on the show. I was mentioned on the show because I used to open for Brian Regan, and they came to a show and then they said some nice stuff about me. But I never listened to the show. I didn't know much about Anthony or Opie for that matter.
Then
But
how'd you get
now
involved in this book?
I have a literary agent out of Los Angeles that I used to, I did a showcase in LA many years ago with my agent. And the one thing I got out of the showcase was this LA literary agent who said, you write really succinct, tight jokes. You seem like you're a very
True.
strong writer. Would you be interested in implementing your humor in some of my author's books that don't have any humor whatsoever? I said, that would be amazing. So I was doing that for a while. Then she had another client who was mainly a joke writer for political stuff. He wrote a lot of political speeches and stuff, and tried writing books, never was able to. And I knew this guy, and so anyway, long story short, she paired us up and said, would you like to interview to write Anthony Cumia's book? And I said, who is Anthony Cumia? She said, Opie and Anthony. I said, oh yeah, I'd love that. And we interviewed for it. We got it. And, Cumia, I have to say, listen, he made it easy. That guy, say what you want about him, and plenty of people do,
Oh no,
but
I love him. I've met, hung out with him, drank with him. He's great.
he's extremely intelligent, extremely funny, and a great storyteller. So it
Right.
was like I pushed record, and like there was the book. I mean, I obviously made it, put it together and added some stuff that to make it flow nicely, but it wasn't hard work with him. He was extremely generous as well. He's he must be extremely wealthy, because I mean, we would meet at his studio, Compound Media,
Hmm.
and I would always take the train in from Penn Station, and then just the first thing I do is go to the bathroom, and then who would I see? Oh, Artie Lang. I would be going out, he would be going in to do drugs. And then Cumia, he had an apartment, I think it's like on 50 something near Caroline's, and throwaway place for me is a mansion in Roslyn, but which I've been to, the compound. I think he just sold it. I think he's now
He's
living
in.
in South Carolina.
That's right.
But nonetheless, an amazing, amazing home. And his throwaway pad was two couple blocks, like a couple subway rides from the subway closest to his studio. He would sometimes rent a suite a lot of times, rent a suite across the street at the Renaissance Hotel, spend like $850, not to mention food, drinks, whatever I mean, and he would be spending like a couple grand every time. And then at the end of the interview, he's like, yeah, I'm going to go back to my house. I mean, yeah, he was very, so he made it fun. He made it fun.
What was it when interviewing him and writing the book? What was the one takeaway that you walked away going, "Wow, I really didn't know that, and I didn't see that coming."
Hmm. There's a lot of things. I mean, professionally, I learned a lot in regards to negotiating contracts and everything else, and all the bullshit that goes involved with, even if you have a literary agent. And listen, it's not easy. But in regards to working with him, uh, that's a tough question. Listen, what was the say it again? What was the
Okay,
question?
so like something like we all knew Anthony from the radio and big fans of his, and but something like when you're talking to him and you get a chance to interview him and spend a lot of time when you're writing someone's book, what did you take away that maybe like people like you didn't know that maybe the audience wouldn't know, and some of it was kind of like revealing, this is going to open up people's eyes, whether it be good or bad.
Uh, Anthony is really like commitment phobic. He doesn't have any close friends. His friends are his audience. He is a very close to the best kind of guy. He is he has this, I guess he's very close with his family. And if you ask him, if you say, hey, who's your, I've said to him like off the record, like, hey man, who's your best friend? Who's your go? And he doesn't have one. He has this girlfriend that he's been with now for years. And other than that, like, I mean, he's an interesting guy, just super smart, self-educated. I mean, he wasn't a great student, but he is a really big time reader, and
Yeah.
and super super smart guy.
He is very smart. You just like the references he throws out, his knowledge of history, just like basic knowledge that people should know. Anthony is on top of that, man. Again,
You know,
speaking to him off the air and listening to the show, it just comes across so vividly.
what I found interesting was it really is like his story is a rags to riches story. It's almost like the Rocky of broadcasting. I mean,
That's right.
he threw everything into that first time he was on with Opie in Long Island. He threw out every bell and whistle, hoping that Opie would recognize him and have him back on. And it was just that. I mean, Opie, say what you want, but logistically, he's the guy with the broadcasting career. He's the guy that knows all the logistics about putting
He was
together a radio show.
he was just straight man.
He was the straight man, and he saw very quickly that for himself to get to the next level, Cumia was his vehicle. He knew that that Anthony was funny and would help him immensely. And he was right. Anthony was the talent. Anthony can hang with any comic. Any.
Absolutely. You knew who didn't see that in him? Howard Stern, because Anthony was on Stern.
Yes, yes. He was on the well, he did win the contest.
Yeah,
He
yeah.
did win the contest,
But
but I mean, well, you know, what's Howard going to do? Put somebody on? I mean, I know what's his name. Artie was amazing at what he did, but Anthony is kind of like the guy that could probably maybe steal the show from him. I mean, he really stuck. He's very talented, super
Jeff,
talented.
I have a million nicknames for you, Jeff, but I think I have one that I'm going to call you from now on. Opie.
why am I Opie? Well, I have to be Opie. I don't know how that
You're the
applies.
straight guy, and I'm the funny comic with the talent. That's what it comes down to.
Okay, very, very good.
Brad, just so you know, you only got 40 more minutes of me berating one of my best friends in the world. Just continue. Go ahead, Jeff.
You know, hey, I wanted to tell that story though too, because Sean and I had only met one time, and we did this gig. It wasn't that many. I mean, it was probably 10 or 12 or whatever years ago, whatever it was. But, you know, listen, I had seen Sean in regards to like social media. I knew he was a real comic, but for one reason or another, probably because of the fact that it was in Connecticut in his home court, and maybe the fact Brad Axelrod was booking it, maybe he realized, hey, I want somebody really strong. Like that's old school. Getting somebody that's really like incredible to host. That's the way it should be. So anyway, Sean was hosting, and they had this other guy, a gentleman who was a little bit older than both of us. And he was like the nicest guy, but he just couldn't follow you in the worst way. And I know you felt bad for him. I know I did. It was crickets. It was crickets.
Oh,
I mean,
that's
bomb. It was like so bad, and they were polite, but it was just complete silence for 30 minutes. The guy did his time. He got off stage, and then to Sean's credit, dude, he brought it right back up. He got him back up, and then just right for me. He didn't bring me up to a disrupt. He did what a real MC does. He got them up, prepared, ready, and you know, that was it.
So after the comic went up, Sean went, let's hear it for Johnny Hollywood. Is that what happened?
I know who it is too, and he is a nice guy, but again, one of those things where you just got to know the room too. You know, you got to look at the room, and we've all been in this situation a million times. Look, me and Jeff did a real, you know, small gig Friday night.
And
Listen,
the host.
The host is, you know, it was a little hard for me to go up after him because, you know, doesn't have a lot of material, depends on cursing and stuff like that. And he's a nice guy.
To a very high-end audience.
Yeah. Listen, we were in the middle. I don't know if you know where this is, Brad, but we were in Colts Neck, New Jersey. So,
I don't.
okay. So I'm about 20 minutes from there. And Colts Neck is where where Bruce Springsteen lives. So there's
his house is literally about 3 minutes away.
Yeah, it's a lot of money down there. Everybody in that place was either in finance or a CPA or whatever. And I literally got this gig from Jeff an hour and a half before the show. He says to me, I know you, I'm doing a special in August. I'm trying a new intro. I'm working it all out. He's gracious enough to let me come down and do a few minutes. The host was so bad that I couldn't even get a feel of how the new 15 minutes was going. You know what I mean? So I always tell everybody that get your chops up as becoming a great host, because then what happens is, you know, when a lot of people do it when they're just starting because they don't have the material, but get that 15 minutes going and getting it good, and then start touching into the crowd. And then when you start feeling your oats and shit, then you get up to feature spot, whatever. But for me, it's a million times the host is the absolute most important part of that show.
He's a table setter.
Zillion%. I mean, I always say life is secular. You start off in diapers. Hopefully, you live a long enough life that you end up in them. And it's the same thing with hosting. That skill set that you learn as a host, even if it's the toughest spot on the, ironically, the toughest spot on the show. Once you get that, featuring is a piece of cake. And then eventually, when
Featuring
you
is the
head,
best job a comic could have.
yeah, but what happens when you become really, really famous, or really you host the Academy Awards, you MC the Grammys,
Look
you
how many of
host
them
your own
can't do it though,
daytime
Brad.
daytime or nighttime talk show. So that skill set stays with you forever. But what were you going to say? I'm sorry.
No, they say, look how many of them actually can host. I think Ricky Gervais easily is the best host of an award show that's out there. He's funny, he's quick, he's edgy, he's not boring. I think him, I think Chris Rock, and then like I mean, look at how Joe Coy, who was a great comic, who really struggled in doing it.
Yeah,
And
but
so,
Joe Coy had 13 days or 10 days to prepare that too.
yeah, but
Uh,
Yep.
still, man,
Under the guise of, I think it was the strike was going on or just over or
it
whatever,
was a
whatever.
strike, and the
That
strike had just ended.
he's a brilliant comic. He is a
He is
brilliant,
a,
brilliant.
he is. And you know what? In his defense, like you said, he only had a short time to prepare. And then not only that, he's not as famous as Ricky Gervais or somebody that has the platform like a Jimmy Kimmel that has his own talk show where they have to kind of be nice to him because
Right.
they're going to see him. So
I see. I don't
he
think Kimmel
wasn't.
does a good job hosting.
But he's safe. And that's the thing. He's the
But
safe
that's
guy.
what but that's what makes Ricky Gervais so good, that he's
And that's
not
why
safe
he's
and
not
he's
hosting.
entertaining and he's not pandering. And I love that about Gervais.
Oh, it's a great
I think he's
because
the best at it.
we get that because we're comics. But people
I
who
think
are
the audience does too.
nah, not all of them, not all of them, because a lot of people get offended very, very quickly too. So that's why you have somebody like a Jimmy Kimmel who is going to go up there and play nice. He might throw a little
Safe
jab,
isn't what comedy is.
but it's not a comedy show. It's an award show,
Well,
which has
that's what makes it a hard room, is that they're not, there for a comedy show. And it's a crowd that gets very easily offended when you do the
And it's
Golden
a crowd
Globes.
that's self-absorbed. I mean, they're only thinking about themselves and
Right,
yeah, yeah.
right. But Gervais, he's able to pull the laughs out.
Gervais is great. You're not going to get
Yeah.
any argument from me. He
he
is
doesn't
really
give a
good.
fuck. That's the thing. He doesn't need to host these shows.
And
He's giving
he let you know it.
let
Um,
you know he has the money. He don't give a shit.
so Brad, do you remember how I met you?
I don't remember how we initially met. I know that you had the theater, the outside theater,
No, we
which
knew
was,
each other before that.
I mean, Murphy?
No, no, okay. This is a weird story. I don't even know if you
About
remember.
the
That's why I
toe
wanted to
tap.
bring, that's why I never brought it up. I wanted to wait till you got on here to tell you it. Okay. Um, we were booked at the same time. Do you remember Carmine's Comedy Club up in Poughkeepsie?
Mhm.
I don't.
Oh,
Okay.
I do.
This was Kevin Lee's spot. It used
Oh,
to,
I do. I
okay.
do. I do. I do. And now I do remember it.
Okay. So I was booked to feature for you. But what happened was there was a scheduling mix up. Okay. They booked you and they
And
booked
Brad Lowry.
Brad Lowry. So it was a co-hosting set. Okay. Co-headlining set. So they still paid me feature money, but I hosted. And I remember, I think the first show you closed and the second show he closed.
No, I closed both shows.
Okay. Um,
It wasn't a co. I mean, I'm just
okay. This
the
is,
truth.
do you
I
remember,
mean, that's the
remember,
truth.
well, this is the girl, remember the girl Pam who ran it.
No,
That's
it's
what
Pat. It's Pat.
Pat told.
And
Okay.
Pat, but Pat, her boyfriend. First of all, they stole the room from Rich Francesi. That was
Mhm.
Rich's room for a little bit, for like a year, and then once she started dating Kevin, I don't know what happened, but they stole the room from him. Anyway, I had worked that room with under Rich, and then yeah, I've known Pat. Pat used to book Bananas back in the day.
Which was right across the street.
Yes. So anyway, Pat's been in the business a long, long time. I've known Pat for years. But yeah, no. I was headlining, and I guess I don't know. I think they did double book it, but no, I headlined both shows. And I love Brad Lowry too. He's a good guy.
So anyway, I bring up Brad Lowry on that first show, and I'm like, hey, are you ready for your first co-headliner? And then like I'm walking to the back because you were sitting in the back of the.
Once again, wasn't co-headliner, buddy.
So let me finish the story. So I'm
Go
Yeah,
ahead.
walking. So I'm walking to the back of the room.
again. I love
Okay.
this.
I'm walking to the back of the room, and you're sitting at a table, and you go like this to me, and I'm like, yeah, what's up? And you're like, he's doing what he's doing right now. He's like, we're not co-headliners. I'm the headliner. And I'm like, listen, I can only tell you what Pat told me to say. But that's how I first met you. That was my first impression of you.
He's
See,
saying you're a dick.
it
He's saying
hasn't
you're a dick.
changed.
Yeah.
It hasn't changed.
No, you haven't fucking changed. This had to be about 10 years ago, maybe, right?
Yeah, Carmine's been closed a long time.
Yeah, because it's been closed a while. And then from there, like, I think we stayed in touch and, through Murphy and maybe doing spots in the city because, we'd be at Broadway, I'd be at Broadway. And we started to run each other a little bit. And then, we wound up becoming, I think we're friends. I think we became friends, actually.
We are friends.
Yeah, we are friends. I think we're actually friends. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that's how I met Brad Trackman. But Brad, let's change gears for a second. So I know you for a little while here. I recently found out that you were a drummer and like not just like like you can actually play.
Yeah, I started when I was 4 years old. My brother had a kit, and my brother's 10 years my senior. And I'd say by the time I was 7, I was much better than him. So, and I wasn't allowed to be on the set, which made me want to go on the set because, when you're not allowed to do something and you're a kid, makes you want to do it. And yeah, I had a natural feel for drumming. I actually, I started working professionally, making money when I was 14, all throughout high school, even college, my earlier years. My claim to fame is that I played with, what's his name? Branford Marsalis, which was really cool. I also was on Showtime at the Apollo. I didn't want to even do amateur night on Showtime at the Apollo, but I was auditioning for the Apollo Comedy Hour, and they saw my resume, professional drummer. So they said, "Would you play for us?" And I did, and they were very impressed. And they said, "You have to do Showtime at the Apollo." I said, "I'd rather not." And they said, "Do you want to do this Apollo Comedy Hour?" I said, "Yes." They go, "Then you do this for us." So I won twice, which isn't an easy feat for a white guy. And it's funny because like they didn't give you cash prizes, but they give you gifts when you win. I had Afro Sheen, I had bounce checks, I had all kinds of stuff. But yeah, it was a cool experience though. That was like a really incredible experience, you know. But yeah,
What
I
do you
love
what
drum.
what kind of music do you play? What are you into?
I mean,
let me
I
ask you
mean,
a question. Who's your band?
I mean, I love so many different styles of music. I'm just
Just give
I'm
us
a
one, Bill de Blasio. That's exactly how he answered that question.
okay.
I love ska. I love ska. No one remembers this interview.
Yeah,
It stays to my core. I hate this guy.
I mean, I got to tell you, there's a studio drummer who I actually had the pleasure of meeting just by chance. It was really cool. But Steve Gadd, who had a big influence on me. Steve was a studio guy that has played with Steely Dan, and also his claim to fame is he came up with he played in the studio 50 Ways to Leave Your Lover with Paul Simon. And
Oh,
he's
that's a great like double roll in that song.
it's incredible lick, man. And
Yeah.
the like stuff like that kind of groove is what I'm really into.
Is there a
You've
Yeah.
band that is there a band that you're into? You have a favorite band growing up who
I
really
mean,
got you into music?
I was always a Beatles guy. I do like Ringo. I think he's underrated. I think he's a great in the pocket drummer, one of the best. I love him, but is he one of the greatest drummers of all time? No, but he was the perfect drummer for the Beatles. I mean, what he did couldn't be perfect. He was perfect. Um, yeah, I love the Beatles. That's my favorite band of all time. I love the Beatles, but I listen to everything, man. I listen to Rush. I listen to everything from Dio. I love big heavy metal guy. I love Ozzy. I love Tommy Aldridge. He was a great double bass drummer, great licks. Terry Bozzio. I love who else? I love Pat Benatar. I loved his her drummer.
That was Neil Grossenberger. Was that his name?
I don't think it's Grossenberger, but I think Neil something. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll tell you this. There are so many incredible drummers, it's mind-boggling. It's just insane. And then you go on Instagram and you see these little 7-year-old kids that are better than me, like than I ever was. It's like it's nauseating. There's a
I think
lot of great drummers out there.
I see so much of that though, and I'm not a big God person. Let's just put this out there. When you see a 6-year-old or a 7-year-old playing Slipknot, like Joey Jordison, double bass, and at 6 and 7 years old, you have to just believe that they are reincarnated with the soul of a drummer who has died. Because there's no way that you can learn that much talent or have that much talent at 6 and 7 years
Well,
old.
just have that kind of feel
Yeah, I mean, there's so much
and be able to understand it.
this is why I wanted to, I'm enjoying Brad because I was also in a band too before I became a comedian. So I understand how the little nuances, the differences in the nuances between playing music and then doing comedy. But I also feel that because I was a musician for a long time, that it made my transition a little easier.
Amen.
In a way. I mean, for me, I was a singer, so I was more comfortable, obviously, with the stage presence and holding a microphone and talking to the crowd and doing all those things. But I always feel, and I think I've heard this somewhere before, every musician wants to be a comedian and every comedian wants to be a musician.
Yeah, you say it every show.
No, I don't say it every show. I don't say, oh, my first job outside of school was I worked at Columbia Records and I owned a record store and okay, and I had a denim jacket. And I
By
tried
the way, I never said any of those things.
I was in the Irishman. No, we
I've
hear
never
it.
said that.
No.
I've never said that. I've never made a. I'd never say that on the radio
I
on
want
Wednesday
this
nights on
special.
101.5 FM.
God, I want this special to blow up so I can quit this fucking show so bad. Anyway.
This show is going to be in your soul. You're
Yeah,
never going to leave.
my asshole is where it is. But
You know, in a couple of months, it's going to be 5 years that we've been
You
doing
guys
that.
sound like a married couple. It's hilarious.
Oh, it's disgusting. It's fucking gross. I love him, but I hate him. I want to punch him, but then I want to make him a dinner. It's just, I really am an Italian married man to him.
I think there's a real correlation with timing with comedy, and especially with
100%.
I mean,
100%.
there's a lot of great comedians that were drummers too. Dave Attell, Todd Barry, who else?
Dice.
Dice is a real good drummer.
Right.
Very.
Dice is really good.
Well,
Much better.
But think about it, Brad, like when you're a comedian and you have your cadence, and some comedians are like ba 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 ba. There's like a rhythm to it. Same thing with being a drummer. Now the drummer is all about numbers. It starts with a 2/4 beat, right? And then it's like, then you put in fills, and like, if you're Metallica, you're, I guess, doing 16/16 time. Okay. But there is a rhythm to it. Good comedians do have a rhythm to it.
I think good comedy does have a rhythm. I really do. That's why I always say, like, if you follow somebody that's really, really good, it might take the audience a couple minutes to get into your rhythm. No, regardless of, it's just like they were in that rhythm. Now they have to go to a different rhythm. So sometimes it takes, I totally get that.
So true. And that was always the weird thing. And I hosted this for years. Remember the 11 o'clock late night show at Broadway?
Sure.
Okay. So you would have guys like you. You would have comedians like, Greg Rogel, like real, like, okay. And then you would go up and do time, and then you'd be followed by a guy who's been in, doing it for a year, doing a 5-minute spot, and then it'd be followed by someone else who's good, and then it'd be like it was just too up and down, and it was hard for the audience to kind of like stay like on like vested in the show. It's like you didn't know what was coming next.
It's true. It's true. That's definitely one of the differences of playing that club in particular. Like, if you play Gotham, you're going to have all headliners. You're not going to have like, but Al had his way and hey, gives a lot of people a chance. Cause I'll tell you what, I grew up working for Al, and I was one of those guys that would be put in like after following somebody that was a real, headliner, and I would bomb, and that's how I got better.
It taught you, for me, it taught you how to host. And the thing is, when you're hosting, everybody kind of knew who you were. All the comedians knew you, and
True too.
so it was very, very invaluable. All
So
right.
one of the things that I do is when if I'm like doing like a club and I'm headlining for the weekend, it's a little different than what most male comics do, but I always want to have a female open for me, either hosting or featuring, because what I like to do is I want to break up the not the chance of doing similar material, but I want somebody to have a different perspective. So that way you're also, if we're doing a comedy show, chances are if we're talking about marriage, just say the three of us, whatever, the men might get it and the women may kind of take offense to it. So I like to bring a female comic in to give the different perspective. So the women are in to the show now too. So that way when I come up and I go it, I already got the women in the bag, and the men are always going to fall on board with it. And there's very little chance of crossover with material too, which is another great thing. Everybody has similar premises or whatever bullshit, and selfishly, I always say that, two female comics are the ones who gave me my start. And I do that as paying tribute to them because I don't believe in gender in comedy. I believe comedians are comedians.
Yeah, I
So,
think I think you're wrong on everything here, Sean. I think it's very important to have all the same. I think there's nothing better than when you have three Italian comedians. Okay, and a lot of them like to do a lot of pointing at the audience, and they like to talk. Is it sauce or is it gravy? I think the audience really does appreciate that.
well,
No
listen,
diversity.
I've done those shows, Jeff, as you know. I have done those shows with the Italian comedians, and it is, while it was beneficial to my career to actually get a fan base from it, um, none of them can fucking hold a candle to me. And that's all I'll say about that. I'll burn every fucking bridge from Stanville to Brooklyn. I don't give a
You're
flying
doing a
fuck.
good job of it, my friend.
Good.
Uh,
Fuck them all.
So there's a couple of stories in rock news I just want to throw at you and get both you guys' opinions. You guys heard? Are you fans of Skid Row? Do you know Skid Row, Brad?
Oh God, I can't believe you're bringing this up.
Okay, because I'm a big Skid Row fan. Sean and I
Dude,
went to go see Skid Row a couple of months ago, and Skid Row I think for years was kind of like lost trying to find their way, and they finally found this kid, this Eric Grunwell, who can sing almost as good as Sebastian. I mean, he was perfect for the band. He brought a great energy to it. You could see it on stage, and then I think he wound up getting leukemia,
Oh,
something where
no,
he had
he had the mental health thing where he
yeah,
was away from family and he
yeah,
had to,
he had to take a leave from the band, and it was kind of sudden and jarring. And the band was in the middle of a tour, and they got Lizzie Hale from Hailstorm to come in and
it's
finish.
great.
Phenomenal. So I was wanted to think, what do you think about that? That whole situation?
I saw it last night, and I went down. I'm so happy you brought this up. I went down a 3-hour wormhole of watching Lizzie. I started off at the Skid Row, and I saw some shitty quality, and I think Skid Row realized real quick, hey, we got to film some of this because we're capturing lightning in a bottle with this. So a couple, like the first show was kind of like, you can't hear her sing. The second show, Skid Row filmed it. So you have the pro cameras, you have the audio is synced up and everything. This woman, I said this to my friend the other night. There's not a lot of rock stars left on this planet. Okay. There's not a lot of true rock stars. I think Dave Grohl was the last rock star. Okay. I think he has handed the torch over to her and to Wolfie Van Halen. I think that those are the two people who are going to carry the torch as being the true rock star. This girl belted out some of those Skid Row songs are impossible to sing
Oh,
because
it's Quicksand Jesus. Is
she
one. The other
destroyed,
singer before Eric couldn't do it.
she destroyed Quicksand Jesus. It was unbelievable. And the thing about it, what I think is it's really cool too, is she's a fan. She's from the Philadelphia area, so she's familiar with like the Cinderella. Oh, fuck
Yeah.
you.
Oh, stop with this fucking guy, this Brad Trackman, and his Philadelphia fandom. I can't take
This
him.
is
I can't.
this is
I
where
can't take you, and I
this,
can't take the Eagles.
this is where I thought this interview was going to go immediately.
Oh,
Immediately.
we got
This
we.
is where I thought it was going to go.
First of all, I'm not Kevin Goatee. All right. And then and second, it's like it's like I didn't. We had to be nice at the beginning before we start getting to this whole Eagles thing. But okay, so fuck the Rock,
Dude, I gotta find, Kevin and I, we bet a game, and the bet was this. I said that the Eagles would beat the Giants both times that season. And they did. And I had no intention of taking the money from Kevin at all. Like, I was like, if I won the bet, I was gonna be like, dude, don't worry about it. But he was so obnoxious to me that I was like, you know what?
he
Fuck it.
was. You guys went back and forth. It was a
Yes. I was
great. It was
just
a
like, you
great
know what?
follow.
Pay me, bitch.
Little known fact, Brad, my nephew, who is an amazing, brilliantly talented chef who lives in Philadelphia, was actually the executive chef to the owner of the Eagles for a few
Wow.
years. Yep.
Wow. Wow. Jeffrey Lurie, huh?
Yep. So like he actually was like, and he actually walked away from the Eagles, but Jeffrey would still call him and say, "Hey, are you available these 3 weeks?" He would fly him down to Florida to his mansion. All he had to do was cook a few meals, and he'd be on the beach the rest of the day.
That's a pretty good
Wow.
gig.
Boatload money. Boatloads.
So, Brad, so are you a complete Philly sports
Yes.
fan?
Yes.
You
I
like?
grew up
Wait,
right
hold on a
outside.
sec. Do you like the Philadelphia Flyers?
Yes.
Fucking guy, man. You understand? For years, until the Patriots overtook the torch, the team I hated more in sports combined. If my hate for a team was China, that was what I projected on the Philadelphia Flyers. I fucking hated that team. I hated Bobby Clark.
Oh,
I hated him.
McLeish.
I
McLeish,
hated him.
Perrin.
Okay, so I get invited to this dinner out in Atlantic City, and because I played hockey, and it was all like the 500 goal scorers, and there was tons of hockey players there, and I wound up meeting and taking pictures because the guy was so nice, but I hated him. Do you remember Bill Barber?
Of course.
Okay, Bill Barber, so nice, and I hated him because he wound up getting co-rookie of the year with the Rangers' Steve Vickers, who I was a big fan of, and I got to meet him too. Dave Schultz was there, and I would not take a picture with him. I
Dave
hated Schultz.
Schultz's son, I got to know. He's a comedian in Philadelphia area, aspiring one. He does filmmaking mostly, but what a great, great guy. And I got the chance to meet Dave, and he was just super classy. Nice.
He was not, but I just couldn't get past what a fucking scumbag he was to the Rangers and I hated the Flyers more than any team in sports, man, for years. That right now they're second because they've sucked for so long. Okay. But and now the team that's taking the torch for me is the New England Patriots. But I gotta tell you, your Eagles, I was not unhappy with the collapse, but I'll give you this. I think they had either the best or the second best draft this year, and they addressed their two most pressing needs. They got in the first 25 picks, they got maybe the two best or number two and number three best corners coming out in this draft. It was a steal. Another great draft.
I agree. And you want to know something? It's been a tough thing for me because I lived in New York City for 17 years. I lived in, and I have to say, the Knicks, man. Oh my God. How can you not like that team? Even though they took us out easily.
Sean doesn't like it. He likes the Celtics.
They're such an exciting team, man. The
They're a
Knicks.
likable team, but they should have beaten the Pacers.
They should have beaten.
But they're so injury prone. Gee,
they had a lead in the fourth quarter in game 3, and that would have solidified it. They would have won in 5 games.
Yeah, I said this to a friend of mine the other day that, as much as I loathe the Knicks because I'm a Celtics fan, I'm glad that they did not beat the Pacers for one reason. Because if they beat them, I wanted the Celtics to just annihilate Jalen Brunson. And I didn't want them to play the Knicks without Jalen Brunson. So that was my whole reasoning why I kind of happy that they collapsed yesterday. Whatever, it is what it is. The Celtics are going to win the championship. It's not,
Indiana is going to be a real tough challenge for you guys. Their
I don't think
shooters
so.
are made.
That's great. Let me tell you, that game yesterday was a historic shooting game. Okay.
Oh,
They got shooters, man.
Yeah, they won't do that again. I think Boston beats them. I think Boston beat them in 4.
I said 5. I'll give them 5. I'll give them one game on the road. I'll give them one game in Indiana to win. But I think it's a Boston-Dallas final, and which sucks because Dallas is my West Conference team. But I'm always going to go with the Celtics.
I really want to see Minnesota in there. I love this Michael. What's the young kid's name?
Edwards.
Anthony Edwards. He's oh my God, he's so
solid.
good.
He is solid. I have a strange thing because living here, being a huge Giants fan my entire life, I took a lot of shit because I rooted for the Eagles in the Super Bowl from my Giants fans.
Oh, so did I. Because they played New England.
I always pick the same team from the conference. So if the Giants beat the Eagles, I'm going to go for the Giants. I always pick the team.
Smart. I agree 100%.
But I will say, if the Mets played the Red Sox again in the World Series, which will never happen ever again, I would, and as a diehard Yankee fan, I root for the Red Sox.
That makes no sense.
I hate the Mets that much.
Why? They don't get in your way.
It would make me happy to see you suffer. Like that's the only. Like I would.
You're so stupid. It makes no sense. It makes no sense. You should hate. You should hate Tampa Bay. You should hate the Orioles. You should hate the Blue Jays and Red Sox before you hate the Mets. They get in your way. Every team in the American League gets in your way. How can you? But no, I don't like the Mets. You're so dumb.
No, how about those Phillies?
Listen, another team I hate, but they are playing out of their minds. I don't know who I want. I don't know who I hate more in that division, them or the Braves. But I think I would go for the Phillies over the. I just hate the Braves too. I hate teams get in my way.
Yeah, this is like a strange thing because my nephew is also with his girlfriend.
By the way, I'm sorry, but how good of a hang is Brad Trackman? He's like a guy you can hang out with.
Dude.
Talk music, eat food, talk sports, argue with.
Shit on comedy clubs. It's fucking great.
Are we going to talk pizza?
We can
yes, sure. Oh man, I forgot about it. Brad Trackman again has a lot of these little Brad Trackman things attached to him. Huge pizza connoisseur.
I really am, and I've got to tell you, Connecticut. Whoa, I mean, geez, some great pizza. Great pizza in New England.
Connecticut's pizza is better than Jersey and New York, and I hate saying.
I don't know about that. It's just as good though. It's just as good.
I will tell you, since you're in LA, guys, you go out to LA a lot. I will give you a little tidbit. If you have an extra little bit of time, go to the Rainbow. You obviously know what the Rainbow is. It's the biggest rock club on Sunset in West Hollywood. The Rainbow has the best pizza outside of the Northeast.
I never knew that.
It is the best. I flew out there in February. I landed. I got my car. I got into my Airbnb. I parked my car. I specifically booked an Airbnb a block from the Rainbow. I barely put my luggage down before I walked the block and ordered a pizza.
Wow. That is great to know.
It is that good.
Yeah. Why pizza for you, man? Like when I met you, I think you were eating pizza.
It's the best food in the world.
I agree. You
fold it, you eat when you're walking. It tastes delicious. You could put shit on it.
What's some of your favorite New York pizza spots, Brad?
I like Arturo's on Houston.
Oh yeah, sure, yeah.
I love that club, or not that club, that pizza joint. It's Coal Fire, which I'm a big fan of the Coal Fire. I like Patsy's. The original in East Harlem. That's a great place.
What about Artichoke?
It's great square slice, man. With the Roni cups, really Prince too. Prince is also great slice.
I think I sent you a picture. When I was in Italy over the summer. I think I sent you a picture of those, right? Of that. Yeah, and you were like, "Oh, that's a bolognese slice." Like you knew what that was just from the
Yeah.
picture. Yeah, I don't usually talk about my food or send pictures of it, but this was easily the best slice of pizza or pie I ever had. It was in Sorrento. It was insane. It
Brad,
was
you have
insane.
a Friday off. You drive, and now you're still in South Jersey, Philly area? You were,
Yes, yes, yes.
you have a Friday off. I want you to send me a text and you'll come up here. I will take you to the best pizza place in New Jersey.
What is it called? Because I probably have been.
It's called Crispy Pizza.
Heard of it.
So they started off in I think Bensonhurst or Bay Ridge. It was a New York place, and then they branched down. They have 4 places in Jersey. There's one right by the Stress Factory, actually, in New Brunswick, but they don't book me, so fuck them. So they the pizza is just out of this world. They have what's called the Palermo pie, which is kind of like a takeoff of the L&B from Spumoni Gardens, which I think is trash personally.
It's not trash. It's still
Like
good.
that at all. But it's they put caramelized onions in the sauce, and it's fucking life changing. I didn't know when I first bought the pizza how big these things were. I ordered a pie. It was 12 Sicilian slices. And I got the pie, it was like $38. I'm like, shit. All right, this is back when I could eat food, like not now, but I had 2 slices. I ate pizza for 6 fucking days. Like these slices are so big and perfect and delicious and crunchy. You can reheat them. I might just fucking jump off here now and take a ride over to
Yeah,
Crystal.
Where
bread
are you
is
located? Where are you at?
I'm in Sayreville. You know where Starland Ballroom is?
Mm-mm.
It's all right. It's the big concert place in North Jersey. So I'm like 3 minutes there. I'm 125 on the Parkway.
Let me ask you this. Do you ever incorporate your voice into your comedy? Like being able to have those vocals? And do you do any bits where you get to
I
show off your
haven't.
voice?
I haven't. I don't particularly like musical comedy, but I wrote
I
it.
don't either, but there has to be a way for you to show off your voice
I
in a
did.
bit.
Yeah, I do one bit. I used to do a bit where I might do it at the special. I don't know yet, but it was basically how my 11-year-old niece thought I was pregnant because my stomach was so big, and I didn't realize that her father put her up to it because he was an asshole. So I made a joke and I said, you know, the movie Frozen that you love, yeah, you know, Anna and Elsa, the princesses, blah blah blah, yeah. I ate them. And so she starts crying hysterical. So I said, hey, listen, let it go. So I sang that little bit of let it go into
That's
it,
great.
just like that. But I don't do much of it. I don't do much of it.
Might be funny if you did like just an idea like with karaoke, how bad some people are, but then you get the one good person and you doing an impression of the good person, that would blow people away.
Don't you hate though going to karaoke? Because like
I can't stand it.
I started like before I had the balls to actually do, you know, to join a band, you would go and then you'd see these losers who would bring their own microphone. They bring a fucking mic. I saw one guy, he brought a gold microphone.
Hey, now it's
that's
not
cool.
such a bad
I think
idea.
yeah, that's cool.
No, it's not cool. It might, you know what he
Oh,
did
that's
too? He pointed when he was singing too.
yeah. I think that's what people. See, I think see you don't know the audience like I do, Sean. I think the audience wants karaoke singers to bring gold microphones. I think comedian and comic audiences want that like to be pointed at. I think these are very important things. You're reading things wrong.
I
Hey,
do
can I
have,
tell you
yeah,
what do you guys think about seriously after COVID still bringing your own mic to these shows? Because it is disgusting.
It
yeah, I
was
don't care.
discussed before COVID too.
That's what
Yeah,
I'm saying.
No,
you know,
it's
that's
okay.
fine. This is our profession. This is how we make money. This is how we put food on the table. That's very different. You go into some fucking bar in Guttenberg or in fucking like Westchester, Pennsylvania, and you're going to sing Black Velvet by Alana Miles for fuck's sake. You don't need your own microphone. You're not a pro. That's the difference.
Yeah, no,
Also,
I was
another
never into
premise that
the
comes from
comic. Remember the Mike Condom?
yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I you know I did that a couple times. No, yeah, I like it the way it is. I'm okay.
Hey
I
Sean,
never got COVID.
how do you know that you can sing? Like that to me is a premise there. It's like, what do you just wake up one day and just like, in the shower, like there's something there. Like, how did you know you had that? Because it's a gift. to be able to
My
sing. I wish.
father was a singer, apparently. I never met my father, but my father had an amazing voice. Apparently sounded like Lou Rawls, from what I'm being told. But I don't consider myself a very talented singer. I can hold a note. I got great stage presence. I can sing. But it just started, I guess. I don't know. Like, you're listening to, it's just like with comedy. You hear somebody and, you can tell like, oh, these guys are sketchy. And then you hear somebody like you just heard for the first time. You're like, wow, there's something there. It's just something that you're born with,
You know what you
but
can do in your comedy show, and you could do a bit where you open up and go, "Hey, what's the deal with these singers? Who do these guys think they are?" That
Hey,
that's better than anything you have.
what comedians have you seen in their premature state, like when they were new, they weren't discovered, they weren't famous, and you saw them and you just said, you know what? I know that person's gonna make it. Anybody for you guys?
Pete Davidson.
Pete
No, not,
Davidson.
We
I
we
didn't think.
started at the same time, but again, I think we started, me and him, within 6 months of each other, and you just knew it wasn't a kid who was doing it. He had something. You just didn't know what it was, but he had something.
I
Yeah,
remember doing open mics with Chris Stefano, and I thought Chris had like that it factor. I thought he was funny. I thought he was extremely likable. I think
Yeah.
he was also like a really like good guy too. So I
great.
thought I thought he had had I didn't have any doubt. Another guy who's blowing up now is Troy Bond. A guy who also worked Broadway a lot. We always said
Great
if I
guy.
was gonna if he was a stock, I would have invested in him. Ian Lara was another guy. Again, all these guys came through Broadway, and
I remember I was doing a TV spot for NBC. I forget what it was, like Friday Night Videos or NBC's Later, whatever it was. It was on after Conan O'Brien. And when you do a TV spot, you go and you play clubs you don't or spots in the city that you never even heard of, like just hole in the walls just to run your set. And I was downtown and I saw this guy who went on before me. I was like, whoa, whoa, who the fuck is this guy? This guy is going to be a star. And he ended up doing pretty well. Dimitri Martin.
oh
Yeah.
sure, yeah, and talk about playing music with comedy.
Does he do music?
Oh,
Yeah,
let's do music. Dimitri
yeah.
Martin.
Dimitri Martin does music.
Bo
I,
Burnham.
I, I haven't seen him do music.
No, he does. He did music.
Doesn't.
Yeah, he does some music.
I don't think he does.
I'm pretty sure he does.
Nah,
I'm almost
but
positive.
he does a lot of like unique stuff, and he's a real cerebral guy and a very good guy too.
That's the thing though about comedy, and I say this all the time. There's a market for everybody. Just because we may shit on somebody because we don't like them personally, or whatever. There's a market for everybody. So I don't care if you like impressionists or if you like, ventriloquists or, whatever, the Italian comics, the black comic, whatever it is, just fucking enjoy it. Just enjoy it and like know that there is and everybody has their audience. My target demographic is 48 to 65-year-old women. They fucking love me and I have no idea why. But those are the ones who continuously
Because they think you're gay.
oh, I think you're gay.
Yeah, they look at you as a gay friend. You're like I'm gonna show my age. Brad, do you remember? They look at Sean. They're like, he reminds me of Monroe from Too Close to Comfort.
Oh shit, that's hilarious.
Dave Bullock, really?
Yeah,
Well,
oh wow, I can't believe you got
I
that
look
reference.
like
You know who he
yeah,
was.
Jim without the eye too. Real fucking original. That was great too. Yeah, look, I got
Listen,
that.
man, like I said,
35 years. That's what you're trying to tell me?
we can do this for 2 more hours, but it's we have to wrap this up. But Brad, where can people find you? Tell us what you're promoting. What can we do?
I mean, you can buy the book still. It's still out there. It's called Permanently Suspended. It's available wherever books are sold. Working on a new book right now. This is really interesting project. This guy is he just recently retired, grade 1 homicide detective for NYPD. He's a consultant for Dick Wolf. He's actually featured in Dick Wolf's new show called Homicide. that's on Netflix. And he and I are collaborating on a crime novel. So I'm really excited about that.
Oh wow, that's a great off the left side of the road project there for you.
Pretty cool, man.
Awesome.
The guy's really giving me the goods. We're actually working on his first case that he ever solved when he was appointed a detective with homicide. It's the very first case, which was happened to be a very highly publicized case that was on all the or not talk shows, the
Mm.
Dateline and 48 Hours, and yeah, he's the real deal. So I'm really honored to be working with him. As far as performances, like I said, mostly I'm doing, I'll be at Broadway next weekend. But when does this come out?
No,
Well,
with our producer, fucking November.
yeah, November of 25. Okay. Yeah, no,
I mean, you can always go to Brad Trackman.
yeah. Lives a very busy life. He's probably going out like to Utah again to go snowboarding.
I do have
Okay.
a special that one of those dry bars that every comic and their mother has done, but that's available on Amazon and also
Big
on
fucking deal, dude.
Apple.
Don't discount that. It's a big fucking deal.
Nah, everyone's done it, and you guys, if you want to do it, I can help you guys get it. So we'll
And
talk
that's
afterwards.
and there's the thing you got to love about Brad Trackman. He is always he helps a lot of people too. Me and Murphy always say that about you. We really do.
I
Um,
do. When I like somebody, I like to help them.
and listen, smart guy who knows the business, guy I respect the fuck out of. So really
Thank
very
you.
much so. All right, guys, please continue to follow us, subscribe, leave comments. All this stuff helps us more than you realize. Brad Trackman, thank you so much for your time. We appreciate you.
Oh my God, thank you guys. Really appreciate being on.
That
Oh,
was
I want
fun.
to add one more thing, Jeffrey. Since we talked about specials, I am taping my first hour special on August 24th
Get
at
tickets, folks, at
at the
Tiff's.
Dojo in Morris Plains. My best friend in the world, Donna V, is hosting. My second best friend in the world, Jeffrey Paul, will be opening that show. And I just got the word we are 2 tickets away from being half sold out already. And we are 3
We'll
months away.
sell. We'll
But this
sell
is
it out.
out before the end of June. So
We will sell it out.
tiffscomics.com, August 24th. And it's going to be a good one.
It is.
How many cameras you got for this special?
I don't know, Adam. Why don't you, because our producer is producing it for me. Why don't you tell him how many we get to 3 or 4, Adam? At least 3.
That's awesome. That's all you need. That's
3
incredible.
cameras. Yeah. And I have Adam off air. I'm going to tell you my idea for an intro, which I think is going to be phenomenal.
I think you should do a sketch. I think you should do it.
I'm going to say it. No, I'm going to say it right now. I'm going to give the world an exclusive. And we're going to end it with this. I am going to have the entire audience, if they decide to take part or not, to describe Sean Morton in one word. And I want them to be brutal and vicious and malicious and everything. And then it's going to end with my mother going, a fucking asshole. And then that's special.
Love it. All right, guys. We will catch you next time. Brad, thank you so much.
Thank you,
those
buddy.
tickets.
I want to do this soon, buddy. It's been a long time.
Yeah, it's nice to see you, Sean.
You as well, man.
Okay, take care, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye bye.